colour, she couldn't even recall what that was, but because Claudia believed it looked more natural. She wore her usual baggy beige jumper, with the inevitable camisole underneath, jeans and boots. "It can't be as long ago as that," Sal wailed, looking as if she could see a bus coming towards her and couldn't get out of its path. "They were good times, weren't they?" sighed Ella. She knew her two daughters judged things differently. They saw their parents' generation as selfish, not to mention promiscuous and probably druggy. The baby boomers had been the lucky ones, they moaned, inheritors of full employment, generous pensions and cheap property prices, while their children had to face insecure jobs, extortionate housing costs, and working till they were 70. Ella thought about it. They were right about the promiscuous bit. She would never dare confess to her daughters that at the age of 20 she'd prevented a man from telling her his name as they made love, preferring instead the excitement of erotic anonymity. How awful. Had she really done that? Not to mention, slept with more men than she could remember the names of. Ah, the heady days after the pill and before AIDS. Ella found herself smiling. It had been an amazing moment. The music, the festivals, the sense that the young suddenly had the power and that times really were a-changing. But it was all a very long while ago. Claudia put the photograph carefully back in her bag. "I have a question to ask." She poured them another glass of wine. "The question is, seeing as we may have another 30 years to live, what the hell are we going to do with the rest of our lives?" "Won't you go on teaching?" Ella asked, surprised. Claudia was so dedicated to her profession, and had been teaching French practically since they left university. "I thought you could go on forever nowadays." "I'm not sure I want to," Claudia replied. They stared at her, shocked. "But you love teaching. You say it keeps you in touch with the young," Laura protested. "Not enough in touch, apparently." Claudia tried to keep the bitterness out of her voice. "I'm out of tune with technology, it seems. My favourite year group has been reassigned to a younger teacher who gets them to learn slang on YouTube. It's having an energising effect on even the slowest pupils, according to the deputy head." Claudia tried not to remember the deputy head's patronising tone yesterday, when she had explained, as if talking to a very old person, that Peter Dooley, a squirt of 30 known by the rest of the staff as Drooly Dooley because of his habit of showering you with spit when he talked, would be taking over her favourite pupils. "Mr. Dooley," Claudia had replied furiously. "He has no experience of the real France. He looks everything up on the internet." Too late, she realised her mistake. "Exactly," the deputy head insisted. She was only 30 herself, with an MBA, not even a teaching degree, from a university in the northeast, an ex-Polly at that, Claudia had thought bitchily. "But you've always been amazing with your pupils," Sal defended indignantly. "Do you remember, years before the internet, you made tapes up with you and Gabby speaking French to one another? Your pupils loved them." Claudia blanched. The deputy head had actually produced one of these 20-year-old anachronisms during their interview, and had the gall to hold it up and ask in a sugary tone, "Of course, you probably think the old ways are best, don't you, Claudia?" Claudia had wanted to snap that she was perfectly au fait with modern teaching methods, thank you very much. But the truth was, she was beginning to feel defeated. For the first time since those heady days of the photograph, she had started to feel old. And it wasn't the fault of memory loss, or the war with grey hair. It was technology. Jean-Paul Sartre might say hell was other people, but he'd never been to an Apple store on a busy Saturday, only to be told you needed an appointment to talk to a genius, one of 1,000 identikit geeky youths, before you could ask a simple question. Nor had he to contend with the horrors of the managed learning environment, where pupils and even their parents could go online and access their schoolwork from home.